Hey, it's Don Skaggs with Empowered Inventing, the one place where we try to help you help other people by taking your innovation, the right opportunity, and some sound wisdom, and taking those things, putting them together in the right way to make real things like products and businesses. So anyway, today I want to talk to you about 5 ways that you can protect your idea, because so many inventors and entrepreneurs out there, the first thing that they get really worried about, and I've seen some people just get really freaked out about how they're going to protect their idea. They're so afraid somebody's going to steal their idea. And sometimes those fears are warranted, and a lot of times they're not. And you have to take the right strategy in the right way. Of course, we teach classes on that. But anyway, let me talk to you today about 5 ways that inventors and entrepreneurs normally, and business owners, and I've used all of these things in my business, except for maybe one, to protect your idea, protect your investment, which is your intellectual property. And the first thing I want to talk about is probably the most common one that I see out there, and that's called a utility patent. So a utility patent is what most people think of as a patent. You've got a product that does something. You've got a product, and that's why they call it a utility patent. It's different from another patent I'm going to talk about in a minute. But a utility patent is it has some kind of function. Okay, it's two things, and it does this one thing, or it's this gadget and it turns and it does this, or it is a product and it has the function of doing anything that does anything that is not just ornamental, is typically a utility patent. And the problem, though, is a lot of inventors and entrepreneurs want to rush out first thing and get a utility patent. And as we've talked about in other videos, there's steps that you're supposed to take and good strategies that you're supposed to use and the right steps to take to get to that point where you actually file for that utility patent. But before you file for the utility patent, there's something that you can file for that is, I think, a really smart strategy. And I think before you file the utility, you can file something called a provisional patent. And it's kind of like what it sounds. Actually, sometimes they'll call the utility patent the non-provisional patent, because it's the real patent, if you will, the big enchilada, the actual patent you're filing for, the utility patent, because it has a utility, it has some type of function. But before you do that, for 12 months, you can file 12 months before you file a utility, you can file something called a provisional patent. And provisional patents are great, and I highly recommend them, because especially for startups, bootstrap startups, independent inventors, you're trying to get out on your own, you don't have a whole lot of money to do this, but you can do a provisional patent, you can do it in a lot of very, very cheap ways. Provisional patent, if you file it yourself right now at the time of this video, it's $70. So for $70 you can file a provisional patent and stamp patent pending on every one of your products. But here's the thing about provisionals. Provisional is your foot in the door, and it's what I call your scary boy or dog sign in the yard, because you can stamp patent pending on everything. Now, can someone still come and steal all your stuff? Sure. And this is what I always say about protection. It doesn't matter if it's a patent, doesn't matter if it's any of these other things I want to talk about. You got to think of it as a protection, like security on your home. And you can spend $10,000 on the most expensive security system known to man. Or you can take a chair and shove it up underneath the doorknob. Either way, if somebody is greedy enough and unscrupulous enough and big enough, and they got a big enough bulldozer, they can come knock down one of your walls, come in and steal all your stuff. Doesn't matter what you got. Either way, no matter how much money you spend, somebody can still steal what you have. And it's the same thing with intellectual property. So the way to mitigate that risk, because that risk is always going to be there, but the way to mitigate it, and there's a lot of different ways to do that, and again, we teach a lot of this, but just for the purposes of this video, one of the best ways that you can mitigate your risk is by filing that provisional patent. And that holds your foot in the door, so when you're going public and you're testing your market, because it's the fastest 12 months of your life, so you want to, number one, be prepared to hit the ground running to see if you've got that market, and to take those 12 months and say, okay, yes, I do have a market with this product. So I'm definitely, it's definitely worth the money, the more money, the bigger money, to go and file for the utility patent. So that's the best strategy to take. File that provisional patent first. Give yourself those 12 months. You can do it through an attorney. You can do a patent search through one of our automated tools we have. You can get counseling on filing it yourself, or you can hire an attorney. And there's always a hybrid way of doing that too, but we'll talk about that in another video. So anyway, so there's a utility patent, and that's for a functional product. There's the provisional patent, which is a cheap way to get your foot in the door, to hold that 12 months, to prove your market before you go spend the money on the utility. And then there's something else called a design patent. And a lot of inventors and entrepreneurs sometimes can get bamboozled, especially by unscrupulous companies that are selling them a design patent when really what they need is a utility patent. And what's the difference? Well, a design patent is, again, just kind of like what it sounds. It's about the design. So let's say you had a flower with 5 petals on it, and you say, okay, the way I've drawn these petals, I want to own the design that I created for this 5-petaled flower. And okay, that's great. So you get that design patent, you send the drawing in. Design patents are cheap. They're easier to get, typically, from what I understand. And but here's the problem. All somebody has to do is make a 4-petaled flower and send in their design patent, and they've got another flower. So they're easy to go get around. All they have to do is, they don't have to change a whole lot to get around your design patent. And that's kind of the downside. And plus, if your product has a function, design patents don't cover any kind of function at all. So be very, very careful about that, especially with the design patent. Design patents are for designs. They are for how something looks and how something looks alone. Now, another thing, and something that I've used in my business before, is something called trade secrets. Now, trade secrets are good and bad. Number one, they cost, they're my favorite price. They cost $0. They don't cost any money at all. Because that's basically it. You always hear about the big famous one is Coca-Cola. Has their, in a vault hidden away somewhere, the secret formula of Coca-Cola. Now the funny thing is everybody probably really does know in the industry how this stuff's made. But it's more of a PR thing, I think. But anyway, they allegedly have the secret original formula for Coca-Cola. And this is the good thing about trade secrets, because a lot of products I had in one of my businesses was chemical products, and it's sometimes the way you can put something together. If it's really, really, really hard for other competitors to reverse engineer, figure out what you have in it, how it was made, then a lot of times you can keep a trade secret, as long as it doesn't get out, as long as nobody finds it. And if somebody does find it, if somebody like digs through your dumpster or breaks into your office and rifles through your files and finds your secret formula, they get in a lot of trouble for that. So there's some trade secret laws about that. So again, good and bad, but here's the bad thing. If they can figure it out on their own, oh yeah, I'll bet he did this, and then I'll bet he took this and did this. And you'd be amazed, a lot of smart people out there that can figure out trade secrets. So you have to be sure that nobody else can figure it out on their own. So again, it's kind of a double-edged sword, but if it's something you can do, it's pretty cool. Now, the other thing is trademarks. And trademarks are kind of neat. Trademarks are just basically, it's your company name, it's your company logo, it's whatever uniquely brands you, it's your trademark. And so you can have a certain name a certain way. And there's 2 ways to do this. The cheap and easy trademark is just putting TM on the end. And that's if you're already selling it in business, if it's in commerce in one form or another, you put it on a website, you've got something for sale, you can put TM on there, and that's free. The government recognizes that as okay. This is in, and it kind of marks your territory, kind of stamps the time of okay. I started selling this now, and it sort of serves notice to other people. Now, the bad thing about this, and I've had this happen to me, is where you put the TM on there and you think no one else has registered that trademark or that name or that logo, and then you find out later somebody did. Now you're in trouble. So it's good to search these things out and make sure that when you send out the trade, if you just put the TM on there for free. Now the other thing is you can actually spend some money, and it's not that much if you did it yourself. And again, we teach ways to do that, where you can actually file for your own trademark. And that's where you get the R. If you see the trademarks, it's the R with a little circle around it. Those are registered trademarks, and those are protected. Those cost money, but they are protected. So those are 5 ways that you could protect yourself with your intellectual property. If you want to learn more, go to our website, empoweredinventing.com. I'm Don Skaggs, and I will look to see you at the next meeting, workshop, maybe one of our online classes, or on the next video.